Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Justus Smith with Proverbs Media Group coming to you live from our Oro Valley headquarters. And today I have one of my favorite guests, the first man that started my legacy as an interview journalist.
What's going on, brother? Hey,
Hollywood
listen,
Morris.
We have to continue the legacy, right?
Absolutely. You know, with my new YouTube videos, I've been putting all of the people I've been meeting. You know, I got Trump in there, I got JD in there, I got RFK in there. But the one thing I will always keep is you in there, because you started this.
That's what we do, my brother. And I mean, you have taken off so much, and it's been a blessing to watch your growth and the people that you've been blessed to cover. You know, all the way in Central Florida, I'm screaming in my studio, "Do what you do, Justus." That's my brother from another month.
That's right.
Yes, I am.
I love it. So you're at Capitol Hill right now.
Yes. Yeah, this morning, Senator Schiff was having a coffee and conversation that I thought would not go well for me if I threw coffee. So I decided to stay in my room and edit and get some videos prepared for this week. It is National Police Week, and that's what brings me to D.C. and Capitol Hill. But that was, and I've been talking with legislators from both sides of the aisle and in both houses. But that was one, just as I was like, the sanctification wasn't at that level yet. I thought it would be best to pass on that.
Yes, absolutely. With your field of work and with what you do in supporting fallen officers and their families and their departments, could you share with our viewers a story of maybe an incident or the loss of an officer, their story that had always stuck with you?
There are so many, to choose from, but I'll tie it into the meeting that I just had with Congressman Mike Ezell from Mississippi. And so the team that I'm here with from the Police Officers Defense Coalition, we're all coming from different parts of the country, brother, too, because we all believe that we are the canaries in the coal mine. And it picks up from where you, I, and Elaine left off last year, that if American citizens don't start speaking up, we will lose the greatest country that God has ever allowed to exist. And we were in that meeting, and they didn't know that I had met with Congressman Ezell last year, and it was in the state of Mississippi for the Night Out with Blue. And it was to honor the officers that were killed in their state. And two that always stand out to me and what changed my life was Brandon Estorff, who was only 23 years old, and his partner, Sergeant Stephen Robin, who was only 34. They were killed a week before Christmas in Mississippi in Bay St. Louis. And I was here last year to hear their names called off and added to the wall. And this year, I wanted to do more, and that was taking it to Capitol Hill and sitting down with these representatives and let them know that so much more needs to be done. Our law enforcement officers are under attack, and they're the tip of the spear. If they fall, so goes the rest of the country.
That's right. Well, I mean, that's tragic stuff, and I have so much respect for law enforcement. I want to give a big shout out to Oro Valley Police Department. I was pulled over the other day, and I didn't get a ticket.
Speeding. Yes, he was.
I think I was listening to a new Playboy Cardi, bro. It got me a little excited, so the speed went up a little bit.
I should have known the soundtrack. I should have known the soundtrack had something to do with that. And I've been on good behavior. I have not been stopped yet this year.
Yeah.
I don't want you to jinx me leaving out of the Beltway though today. So I've been conscious of doing a lot of Lyfts and Ubers because it's packed here. Today, Justice is actually Police Day. And so this is a solemn day where the names that are read of the officers that were lost in the line of duty in 2024, 168. And that's a lot of names. All of them are attached to a family. Those are kids without a father, husbands without wives, wives without husbands. And most of the country, that's just a number or a headline or ticker at the bottom of the screen. But like I've shared with you so often, when you travel to them and you meet with those families and they become extended family, you understand what these families are going through today. Now, while that's taking place, there's still votes going on the House floor and on the Senate floor, and that's why you see some of the traffic going on behind me as they're leaving to go to different votes. But there are a couple of bills. That's what we were focusing on this week. There's some legislation that we think is very important that needs to be passed that would assist and address some of the issues that police officers are facing across the country.
Yes, there's a famous quote by Joseph Stalin where he says that if 10 people die, it's a tragedy, but when 1,000,000 people die, it's a statistic. And I think what you've done so beautifully is actually provide context and provide a human element, an actual emotional connection where we can understand the stories of these people and see the direct impact.
Yeah, that is so beautiful what you just shared, brother, because that's actually what came up in the meeting with Senator Ted Cruz. What we see on TV is who he is when you meet him in person. He is someone who loves people, he loves this country. And what we were focusing on was, what's this next step going to be? He said the narrative. One thing that you talked about and Lane talked about, we've talked about this whenever we met, is the opposition, they use narratives so well. And they give stories. Now, they can say the heck with the facts, but they'll give you a great story, right? And he said this is why it's important to humanize these officers and to share their stories, because when the public reads about that, this was more than just a statistic like what you shared. So I'll go home for a few days and then get right back out on the road, because unfortunately, as I'm recording this, brother, we're down 25 officers already this year. We've had over a dozen who've been shot and killed. So the work continues, and that's why the Thin Blue Line Act was one of the bills that we were talking about and pushing so much this week, which would make it federal punished by the death penalty for killing of a police officer. We've got to put teeth back into it and put respect back on their lives, actually. And the other one was the police qualified immunity, which is what you're seeing being used, where so many rogue prosecutors are prosecuting officers that are doing their job when they have a criminal trying to get their gun, take their taser. So now we're focusing on a multi-front of issues, and I'm for it. You know me, I'm all for the fight, brother.
Absolutely. I think it's so important. You brought up that the narrative is really important to shift. In reality, when people hear something, most people do not think for themselves. Most people have to be told what to believe in, and the media is their external brain. And the media, for a long time, has been controlled by foreign and domestic intelligence communities that aim to actually create division and fearmonger. Because when you have a nation divided and in fear, it's really easy to come and control us. I was with my girlfriend the other day, and we were watching her little brother. He's like 10 years old. And he was telling me that he's terrified of police officers. But this kid plays like Minecraft and Roblox all day. He has nothing to be afraid of. Why do you think the youth and people in general have this idea of law enforcement being something that they should fear or something that they should have any negative emotions toward, when in reality they're protectors of our society?
Beautiful question, and it ties back to the motto of Proverbs Media Group, and what Elaine stresses, it's not about us, because we have been, as a society, as Americans, focused so much on me, myself, and I the past 3 decades, that we have allowed these false narratives to take root. And like you said, you have bad actors who literally push this. This is indoctrination that we're seeing. And let's be honest about it, brother, it's well funded. And you can, literally, as we're talking, Justus, right out, there's a protest going on right now about the illegal migrant Garcia, about his constitutional rights. And there's probably 100 people out there, and they're beating drums, and there's some congresswoman who's out there playing to them and, disparaging the police, who are literally 20 yards off to the side standing to protect everyone. You see how that works? So this is the game that they play, and this is why what we do is really an important ministry, because you have to push back on that. And what we were just talking about with Congressman Ezell was, he's also a former sheriff, before he came here to the Capitol. And he was explaining that when you say qualified immunity, that this was a major campaign issue that Kamala constantly lied about. And especially in the minority communities, the sentiment is, well, this gives cops the legal right to just execute people of color, because that's what they've been told over and over. They never look at the details of the actual bill. And that's why I partnered with this coalition to bring my media skills into it and say, here it is in black and white, but you have to be able to break it down on the level of the person you're explaining it to. If not, they'll just play the game. They'll go along with what the left does, because the left always uses, they play the game, they get the token characters like Ratchet, Jasmine Crockett.
You just voted to do
Y'all
it.
did it first, so you don't want to talk about it.
They send them out there. They create false stories, and it gets millions of views. And so you're fighting uphill to actually expose the lies and give people the actual facts about, a case or a bill or a law. It's all the same playbook.
I think that one of the greatest things that we're dealing with today that is also creating this divide, part of the leftist agenda, this Marxist, neo-cultural Marxist thing,
Correct.
is it's coming through critical race theory. And I think that what they want to do is sow this idea of victimhood in various groups, whether it be a sexual group or it be a gender or it be a race group or a religious group. Yep. As long as people feel that they have the short end of the stick or that they're being victimized in some way, they can externalize their own shortcomings as to the cause of some malevolent force that has it out for them. Could you speak to that? What are your thoughts on critical race theory and victim mentality?
Absolutely. That has been something that it has been refreshing to talk to senators like Senator Moody from Florida this week, and she understands the critical race theory aspect of this, and the fact that, to simplify it, just like you just did, that was so excellent, it is, I'm always the victim. And because I'm oppressed and I'm the victim based on identity, then I can't be held accountable. Because at the end of the day, the fallout that we're seeing with police officers and law enforcement in the country, and why there's such a negative push against their profession, is because people are telling themselves, just like you, to deal with your traffic stop the other day. You already admitted, I was speeding. The first solution is to take accountability for what you did. You know you have crack on you. Why are you running?
Yes.
No crack. You know, it has become too, it's become a pandemic. They're not responsible. So it's someone else's fault. It's the police's fault. It's the principal, the pastor's fault. And that is the heart of critical race theory. And what they play is identity politics, of course, to say, since we don't look alike, then you are oppressing me. When you look at life, brother, when you look at life through that lens, you are a miserable individual. And I can tell you, just 300 yards that way, I just walked by like 300 miserable individuals that are in the freest country on earth complaining about people who broke the law to get in here being sent back to their country of origin. That's where we are. 2025, Washington, D.C. Yeah.
It's a terrible thing. I think that there's this new wave of kind of snowflake weakness, this kind of pansyism that has been bred into the youth, where if anything doesn't go their way, they're like, well, you're infringing on my mental health. And, I don't think they can imagine what our forefathers did to get here, what this country was built on and the struggles people endured. It's absolutely insane. And you've made such a good point. We live in the freest country on this earth. I can come out and say, just like Alex Jones, they're making the frogs gay, they're putting atrazine in the water, they're putting birth control in the water. You can't try that in China.
They not like us. They not like us.
So I want to ask you, with the new administration, with this kind of paradigm shift that's occurring, this change of the zeitgeist, how do you think Donald Trump's doing so far? What's the best things he's done so far? Is there anything he could do better? How do you feel?
I think he's done awesome. I mean, we're just past the first 100 days and understanding what he was up against. We knew it. We've been talking about this for the last 2 years. I think that one of the areas I think that he struggled with in his first administration, because it was new to him, is that he spent a lot of time fighting the woke media.
Can you give us a question? I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
And trying to combat false narratives, where this time around, he knows what's coming. He knows what they're going to do. I mean, you're keying up people's Teslas that they don't know because they've been told to do so, right? So this is exactly, and you saw we're a month removed from the introduction of the tariffs and Liberation Day, when you had all these experts, a lot of them right here, telling the American public that the economy was going to crash. We were going to become a third world nation. Did you see the stocks this week? I'm winning, bro.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, my stock portfolio is looking handsome right now.
We cannot make the mistake, Justus, that we did in '04. Going in and thinking, well, we got another 4 years. Everything is great. The left is going to go away. No, they just doubled down. And what did we talk about? 4 years later, we got the Manchurian Candidate himself.
Bruh.
I look at this every day like we still, yes, we won, but we have midterms and in literally a year and a half, their whole party is in disarray. When you have David Hogg as your vice chair of the DNC, I was like, it's great comedy to watch, but we have to remember how warped these people are. So we have to keep moving. Trump is going to do, the president is doing what he's going to do. We need to do what we're going to do in our space. Media ministry, patriots, private citizens, conservatives. It's our time. I'm like, yeah, this isn't vacation. We keep our foot on the gas.
That's right. It's the most important time ever when we have a candidate and an administration that is fighting for our freedom of speech. You know, taking this window of opportunity to actually keep the door open and make sure that conservatives can have a voice in this country, while the creepy sea vermin that are hiding under logs, known as the DNC, are awaiting their next plan of attack. It's a shame. It's a shame that these people have such hate in their hearts, and there is so much that needs to be done. Shifting points a little bit, I want to ask you about something that I'm a nerd. I like to look into stuff. I spent a lot of time researching the Epstein case. And recently, Kash Patel went before a congressional hearing where he was asked point blank, did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself or was he killed? And Kash Patel said that he believes that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. I was dismayed when I heard this. I was demoralized. I was sad because, I wasn't there. I can't confirm it, but I know some people in special places that might have provided me some info, and I think I know who called the hit. There's too much that lines up. He's in a maximum security prison, the highest level in the country.
Cameras don't
same one El
work.
Chapo's
Guard
at.
is asleep.
The lights turn off. The cameras turn off. What do you think's going on there? Why would someone like Kash Patel, and now I'm just, hypothesizing here, if Kash Patel is in possession of information that would prove that he killed himself, why would he go forward and say the opposite? Has he been pressured? Or do you think he's telling his honest truth?
Yeah, now again, I don't have a source on this, but I think that it's more of a chess, not checkers game, in the sense of that the whole, that topic, I think that, a lot of conservatives, rightfully so, have been frustrated saying, it's 100 days, where are the names, when are things going to be released? And I'm like, I totally understand you on that. I was like, also understand what he inherited. And if we still can't get the names from JFK, and you and I weren't thought about yet, think about it. Bro, everyone involved in that can't be alive. Yet, what is the delay on that? I think the layers of that run deep, and I'll tell you how it ties into the Doge issue. Think of the pushback that you've seen in the last 3.5 months about, so you're mad at the committee and the guy who is exposing all of the money that is being stolen from us. That shows you just how powerful the swamp is. And I think so that's what ties back into what Kash is dealing with. And it is going to take some time, and he's got to play chess, not checkers, and how he's moving. And I think that when we do get, like you said, if it happens that it happened like the initial report, I would be shocked. But I think there are multiple layers of bad actors that he's literally trying to weed through. They might want to secretly hire James O'Keefe, bro.
Well, Hollywood, before we close, I'd like to ask you one of my favorite questions before we always close. Imagine the whole world is listening. What would your message be to all of them?
that we were spared, our country was spared just at the end of last year, with the Lord allowing President Trump to be reelected and allowing us to change course. But he did not give us that grace for us to take it lightly and sit on our hands and watch it all fall apart in front of our face. So we have to be diligent. The vineyard is wide open, but it's not a lot of labor. So whether it's in the field that I am here on Capitol Hill, mean mugging, leftist, I did not heckle anyone from the gallery. That was not me. If y'all see that on C-SPAN, that was not me. I was on my best behavior. I just gave everybody the look of death. And so I'm probably being profiled and getting ready to be dragged out of here. But yeah, I did give people that prison look for real. Because it's that important, it was that important to know that we weren't blessed to be in the greatest nation on earth to just sit and consume things and play the game of he who dies with the most toys win. It's about us reaching people. Like Elaine always says, it's understanding that it's not about us. Our job is to occupy until he comes and to reach as many as we can. And it's really, that is what we do. That's what our purpose is. And we need to be about our Father's business.
I can't believe I almost forgot this. I got one more I got to throw in. Did you hear Kanye West's newest song?
And I knew you was. So here's the crazy part about it, bro. I fly in here to DC 2 days ago, Tuesday, right? And Justus, I got less than 3 hours sleep and doing an early morning flight. You know, I'm always trying to save money. And the way that I'm introduced to the song is Michael Knowles is reviewing the song. So you know I love Michael Knowles. Michael Knowles is central casting for Revenge of the Nerds 4, right? So he's reading the lyrics.
That's right.
And Michael Knowles says, I'm going to say ninja, but I think you guys know what he said.
They don't understand the things I say on Twitter, ninja. All my ninjas Nazis.
I heard the first 30 seconds from Kanye, and then Michael Knowles is doing play-by-play, but reading the lyrics as Michael Knowles, trying to interpret Kanye. And I ended up I was so distracted. I was heading to Baltimore, and I'm supposed to be in D.C.
It's a crazy track.
What is it doing on Spotify? Was it loud on Spotify? And if it was, how does that go?
See, he posted it to all streaming platforms, and it was removed within an hour.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's only hosted on Twitter and SoundCloud now. And I'll say this as politically sensitively as I can.
Yeah.
Growing up,
Yes.
Kanye West was like a father figure to me. He is my favorite artist. I absolutely love this guy. I defend him left and right. No matter what he says or does, there's a piece of me that wants to defend him. I won't comment on this song in particular, other than to say that I listened to it, it was interesting, and he's saying some very controversial things.
Correct. I'm right there with you. I did not know much about him, and we joked about this. In Phoenix. You were like, wait a minute, how could that happen? But when I did go through Michael Knowles' breakdown, and he said, okay, listen to what he said, that I'm reading what he says, and he's talking that his frame of mind is already in a bad place. And he was like, so I'm making that, he was like, this is my starting point on it. And here's where I'll relate it to myself, brother, is that there's a lot of people that I saw yesterday that I have a lot of disdain for. I'm just not going to sugarcoat it for you. And that's why I told you I removed myself and didn't do that invite this morning. I don't want to embarrass, our Lord. I don't want to embarrass the coalition that I'm here with. But when you see what these people have done, especially to the community that I've come from the last 100 years, not to mention the last 40, 30 that I've been an adult. When Maxine was walking yesterday, bro, I'm like, and like I said, but understanding if you handle it the way that you initially are thinking in your head, which was to scream loud obscenity from the gallery, or you're going to be escorted out and you're embarrassing the people. So I think you can have the best intentions and you're trying to open up dialogue, but if everyone gets lost in the way you do it, like you choking out a congressperson on the floor, yeah, you defeated the purpose. So I had to tell myself a couple of times. So that's what I think, when I listened to it, saw the breakdown and getting your feedback from it, I was like, yeah, I think that people who are just trashing it to trash it aren't checking out the entirety of where he's coming to play on words he's trying to use and the bigger theme he's trying to say. But I'm like, yeah, you could have gotten that across too with going a whole different route.
Well, Mr. Hollywood Morris, it is always a pleasure to talk to you. I could talk to you for 6 hours. Maybe we will in the near future. We got to get you to come down to the studio again.
Yes.
One of our favorite guests. Thank you so much, and God bless you. I support your mission.